most students don't start thinking about what they want to do after college till it is pretty late. Like you realize in your third year, second semester that, oh, my senior went here.
Right.
Oh, my relative is already there.
Right.
One of my cousins just went to a really good US institution.
Right.
And so that's when they usually get started. It, for everyone that's looking at this, starts slightly early.
Hello guys. Today I am sitting with Mr. Suraj Peri, who is an CMU alumni and went to Berkeley as well. He has worked in US for more than 6 years and have accidentally come back to India to start Gradvine. Gradvine is a premium US consulting service that helps students getting into top 20 to 30 US universities for all the courses, be it engineering, STEM, MBA. Only specialization is top universities out there. Gradvine has helped 10,000 students in getting to those 20 to 30 universities. So today, in this session, in this podcast with Suraj, we are going to understand what is the secret sauce of getting into top 20, 30 universities. What is the journey a student has to go through? What do they need in them to get into that? So with that, we'll start. First of all, thank you, Suraj.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming down to Hyderabad and to the office. And thanks for that introduction as well. Happy to record and take questions. This is what I do on a daily basis anyway. Just take a bunch of questions from students. Happy to take some from you as well.
So my intent would be to put those questions, which is primarily what comes to the students first when they are thinking for abroad education. So my understanding of students' journey when they think of abroad education is they must be seeing a lot of their seniors, maybe if relatives in abroad doing well. In some of the families it runs in the blood. Right. So their primary agenda is to go abroad.
Correct.
And make a good life out of it. Correct. And especially the universities that you guys get them into. So how do they decide in which year? Like, let's say I'm in my third year, fourth year of the college. Can we talk about the journey from there? Like, from the mindset perspective as well and from the timeline perspective.
Slightly long-winded answer for this, but here's what we've observed over the last 7-8 years, right? Most students don't start thinking about what they want to do after college till it is pretty late. Like you realize in your third year, second semester that, oh, my senior went here.
Right.
Oh, my relative is already there.
Right.
One of my cousins just went to a really good US institution.
Right.
And so that's when they usually get started. It, for everyone that's looking at this, starts slightly early.
Right.
Third year, first semester is when you should have, in general, figured out what you would ideally want to do after your undergrad.
Got it.
This might be getting a job in India. This might be pursuing a career specifically within research, maybe in India or outside of India. This might absolutely also be figuring out what you want to study after you graduate from an undergrad degree. Right. Third year, first semester is when they usually get started.
Got it.
Third year, second semester is when we recommend that folks take the GRE or any of the other exams that are needed to be taken at this point.
Right.
Once you take those exams in third year, second semester, your entire fourth year, or actually fourth year, first semester, can be catered towards the applications process overall.
Okay.
Couple of questions that we've seen students struggle with is, okay, I've done, or I'm going to graduate with an undergrad degree in X. What are the options for me after I graduate? Should I continue doing something in that same field? Should I pivot to doing something else? Undergrad in India is slightly stifling. For example, I'm a chemical engineer. I did not, till my fourth year, take up any subjects outside of chemical engineering. And that's pretty much the same across the board in all undergrad institutions in India. So figuring that part out comes in third year, first semester and second semester.
Right.
From that point on, it's a simple journey and we can talk a little bit more about the timelines and stuff. The big decision comes when you're hitting third year, second semester transition into fourth year, first semester. That's when you should have made the decision, stand firm on that decision, and then take the next steps towards the entire applications process.
It's very interesting. We also, when we speak to this student, we mentioned that third year is when you have to at least give GRE, so that you have ample amount of time, to do your research and apply.
Correct.
But does the journey start with preparing for GRE, or even before preparing for GRE, you need to do some research in terms of what kind of colleges I can get into?
Here's how I think about the process, and this is what we translate as recommendations and advice to our students as well. One of the first things is not to think about the application process.
Right.
The first thing is to look inward and try and see, okay, I'm good at XYZ.
Right.
Are there careers that exist today, or maybe upcoming careers that might exist by the time I graduate, at that intersection of my interests?
Right.
Finding the intersection of interests is a critical element. Once you've found that, then you can take a step further into the process and say, what are skills and knowledge I need to gain to be great at the intersection of those interest areas? Let me give you an example of a student that I was just talking to the other day. He's a computer science guy from BITS, just starting his third year.
Okay.
I will compare that same student to someone who's at my alma mater, CBIT, who's a third year undergrad, who's also just started computer science. The guy at BITS has had the ability, BITS, IITs, etc., the premium institutes, has had the ability to take internships, has had the ability to go work outside their cocoon campus, etc. And therefore, as a result of that, they have a better understanding of what they want to do as a career.
Right.
They have a better understanding of what their interests are and what intersections exist at those interest areas that they can build a job or a career in. The guy, unfortunately, in my alma mater, has not done that internship, has not taken the initiative to go outside the 4 campus doors. Right? So the inherent thinking and the thought process is not mature to a level where they're able to say, okay, I am good at this. This is what I want to go build a career in.
Got it.
So even before you start thinking about GREs or the application process or the universities or anything of that sort, take a step back, get real life work experience, figure out what you're good at, and then figure out if a master's degree is a path to becoming great within that field particular.
Correct.
That's the first step. Once you've sat down and said, okay, I am great at this, or I'm good at this, I want to become great at this, then start to explore what degrees will give you the skill and the knowledge to be able to become great at those things.
Right.
Then comes, what are the universities that offer these degrees? And then comes the application process, eligibility criteria, the test that you need to give, and all of that.
Right.
So just in terms of order, first figure out what you want to do. Actually, figure out what you're good at. What do you want to do? What degrees can you do to be great at what you want to do? Then figure out what universities offer those degrees. And then the last step, the absolute last step, is to be thinking about the applications process.
Right.
Don't start thinking about the applications process first, even before you've looked inwards and said, okay, this is what I want to actually accomplish in life.
I think students don't do that. They start with
the application process, like that. I want to go to this university because someone else has gone there, and then they work backwards.
Right.
I don't think that's the most beneficial use of time.
So, Suraj, how would you recommend students to do all of this research? Right. It's not that there is a single place where you can get all of these details in one go.
I was applying, and this was exactly 10 years ago when I graduated from my master's degree. Internet was still a dial-up connection. Right? You're still using BSNL to connect to the internet, and you're trying to Google your way out of everything.
Right.
We're sitting here in 2025 when every single research tool that you could think of is available to you for free. So there is no dearth of information on the internet.
Right.
The problem is that there is a deluge of information on the internet. There's so much data, so much information that a student in their right mind is confused by so many opinions, so many motivational speakers, so much information that's out there. And so they don't know how to cut through the clutter and get to what they want to get to. One of the best things to do is to talk to a senior. And that's exactly the model that we've monetized into Gradvine that you see today. We have a mentor network of about 1,000 mentors, every single one of them at a top 20, top 30. And you directly speak to one or two of these guys to get a better understanding of what your profile is, what the choices in front of you are, how they made their choice, and subsequently how can you think about your choices. The best way still is to talk to someone who's gone through the entire journey, who's gone through the entire process, and has come out with successful outcomes at the end of it. The reason why I stress on talking to someone as compared to going and doing a lot of internet-based primary research is, on the internet, there's conflicting opinions about everything.
Yeah.
You want to be able to connect to someone who's seen at least some parts of the same journey that you are going through, and that authenticity is missing on the internet today. And therefore, the first step for you to figuring out what you want to do, how you should be going about it, and what the process looks like should be to talk to someone who's gone through the same thing, who's a near peer, maybe in the last 2 years, maybe 2 years above you, maybe 3, max 3, because the process changes every 3 years, right? That would be my advice to anyone who's thinking about it.
So you mentioned that, at your service, the students are able to talk to
That's it.
the alums or the students who are studying there. So isn't it better that they get in touch with you early as well if they eventually want help in the application process?
So one of our core philosophies has been, don't push a student to be a particular kind or fit a particular mold.
Right.
I think today especially, there's so many interdisciplinary things that each student can do. For example, back in the day, if I was a chemical engineer, there's probably 2 or 3 pathways for me. A master's in chemical engineering, a master's in maybe if I want to be, if I want to work for a couple of years and just completely pivot, a master's in business administration or an MBA, or maybe a third option could have been material science or some offshoot of chemical engineering. Today, the kinds of careers that exist did not exist 5 years ago or did not exist 2 years ago. A prompt engineer, for example, right? In order to be able to get to those careers and be good at them, you've got to think beyond your undergraduate degree.
Right.
You cannot any longer say, I'm a chemie, therefore I will only do chemie as my master's degree.
Right.
As an engineer or as someone who's done STEM at the undergrad level, you're much more than the discipline that you are at. You are a problem solver first. You are a quantitative problem solver first.
Right.
Which is a great approach now today to take into degrees like a master's in data science, for example, or a master's in AI, which is coming up. So the first thing to do is identify what career pathways exist, what different degree opportunities exist, and then think about which one you want to go down.
Got it.
Therefore, in order to be able to do all of this, give yourself enough time to explore. The earlier you come, the more time for you to think about it, the more for you to explore. And then once you've explored it, go deep and exploit that particular niche that you want to fill and that you want to be great at. That's our advice in general to students. Always start early. Yeah.
Right. And let's say they've figured out, they have, gone through this process, have done introspection, come up with something that, okay, I want to do this. And now they have to prepare for test.
Correct.
And they figured out GRE is something for this STEM US specific, the exam that they have to give to. Can we get some idea around your thoughts on how to prepare for GRE?
Sure.
Is it they should take some coaching? They shouldn't take coaching? Is it easy enough? It is hard?
Yeah. The GRE itself over time has changed so much, and COVID has sort of accelerated that change.
Yeah.
Most good universities today, unfortunately or fortunately, have the GRE optional. And so the first question, I'm not going to stereotype a student, but most students are lazy, and we should accept that. I was one too.
Yeah.
And so most of them are trying to get out of the GRE and not try and take it.
Okay.
Here are some reasons for you to consider the GRE as one test that can set you apart from everyone else. Not because of what the GRE is testing as much, but just by the fact that you've given the GRE shows that you're serious about the process.
Right.
When a university says GRE optional, they do not mean that you should not submit the GRE. If that was the case, they will say it on the website. They will say, we do not consider the GRE, don't send the slides.
Right.
Most universities are in this slight gray area where they say GRE is optional, right? Students interpret that as, I don't need to give the GRE.
Yeah.
But I would force students to think of it the other way. Give the GRE to get an advantage in the applications process. As compared to folks that have not given the GRE and similar profiles, we've seen a 22% higher chance of someone getting in if they have a decent GRE score as compared to someone who's not taken a GRE at all.
Okay.
The reasons are very simple. To a university, you are signaling by taking that GRE test that, hey, I'm serious about the process. Hey, here you go. These are my quantitative scores. I'm coming from a STEM undergrad. I'm wanting to go to a STEM undergrad. Here is my math score on the GRE.
Right.
That proves that I have basic fundamental knowledge of a graduate degree for math. Second, it signals to the university that I'm serious. And this is the point I just said. Being serious about the application is so much better and bigger to a university than someone who's applying just for the sake of applying.
Yeah.
For example, let's take a Cornell or a Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
These guys get 5,000, 6,000 applications for a class size of 50, 70.
Yeah.
Right? Which means they're constantly trying to do two things. One, filter out the best candidates. But even within the best candidates, universities want to protect their yield rates, which is the number of students that they have given offers to, how many of them actually come and join the institution. Here's one funny thing that happens with yield rates. They have figured out that folks that have given the GRE have a higher chance of conversion, signaling that seriousness as compared to folks that have not given the GRE and just applying for the sake of applying. Therefore, universities have also started to prioritize folks that give the GRE, even though they say it's optional, to protect their own yield rates, right? The way to think about the GRE is take a benchmark test. So many online free tests available. Take one without any preparation. Go give one, sit the full 2 hours, 50 minutes, etc. Just take the entire thing. Once you get a score, figure out which sections you're weak on and then double down on those particular sections. As Indian students, I think most of us will struggle with the verbal, the English component of it, and that's fair. As long as you're doing well on the quantitative section, verbal can be slightly lower than that, and that's absolutely okay. You're not signaling to a university that I'm great at the verbal ability or the English ability, and I'm coming to join a MSc Literature course. You're going into a STEM degree, which means quant has to be big. Once you do that benchmark or a diagnostic test, you know where you're at, generally. If you're scoring anywhere from a 290 to a 310, I would recommend getting some amount of coaching. Magoosh is great. GRE, GMAT is another test prep online, fantastic full-length tests. There's a couple of course, in your own cities, there's a bunch of physical guys that do coaching sessions as well. On top of that, if you're scoring anywhere from a 315 all the way to a 322, 323, I don't think you need coaching. I think at that point in time, it's just how much practice can you get, how many full-length tests are you able to take. Doing that will give you enough prep. A good score on the GRE for anyone who's trying to crack a top 20, top 30 is anywhere from a 318 and above with a 165 on the quantitative section. As long as you're able to do this, you're good. Don't worry about getting a 333 or a 340 on a 340. None of that matters. Get a 318 and above with a 165 on quant, you're golden. You clear the eligibility for almost all of the good universities out there. So you're good.
And once you have had the GRE, you have a decent score, 315, 310. What's a good score to get in top 30?
So, depends on how ambitious you are. If you want to go target the Stanford MITs, I would recommend a 325 and above. If you want slightly lower than that, the Stony Brooks, the NYUs, maybe even the non-Berkeley California campuses, so UCSD, UC Irvine, etc., 315 and above is a good score. Overall, if you're a student that has an 8 point something and above GPA, make sure you're getting a 315 and above, because that will just clear a lot of the hurdles for you. At that point in time, GRE doesn't become a handicap. It opens the doors, and that's it. The utility of the GRE is out of the window. After that, it becomes how good your profile is. Through a 315 and above for tier 1.5 places. For the absolute tier 1 places, 322 and above. That's where you should be at.
Got it. And once you have had your GRE exam done, now comes the shortlisting of the colleges. Given the student has done some research before, what are the factors at the time of shortlisting the colleges one should consider?
Even before you give the GRE, in fact, you should start the shortlist. The reason I say this is because ETS, as a test provider of the GRE, gives you score reporting to 4 universities for free.
Right.
But this happens only on the day of the test.
Okay.
So even before you get to the test, you should have a decent idea of where your score band is,
Right.
and what universities you want to apply to for sure that require the GRE, so that you can take advantage of the score reporting. I think each score report right now is about a $25 or a $26. I forget what the latest amount is. So you can save up to $100, $120, right? You should absolutely do that. In order to save that much amount of money, make sure you've done decent amount of shortlisting. At least identified a few universities you are absolutely sure that you want to apply to, and then go to the GRE. Coming back to the question of how should I think about shortlisting, even before I get to shortlisting of universities, I think there's a big item of shortlisting of countries. I know we've spoken about this in person just before we started the shoot about a lot of students wanting to go to Europe or UK, etc.
Right.
Even before you sit down and start to look at universities particularly, I think there are some macro factors you've got to keep in mind and shortlist the country choice itself. There are broadly maybe 5 or 6 great destinations today for you to go do your master's. In order of preference, and I will get some hate from a lot of people in the comment section, but at the cost of that, in order of preference, here is what I would recommend students to do. US, number 1.
Okay.
Irrespective of the current political climate, the short-term OPT, CPT, whatever, US is still number 1. Right. And I will back that up with some facts in just a little bit. The second destination, I would say, is either Germany or Netherlands. And Netherlands is not talked about too much, but Germany and Netherlands, especially for folks that want to do STEM-related courses, make the most sense. Third, if you are looking at anything that's B-school related, France is a fantastic destination.
Okay.
Fourth, and I can't believe it's at number 4, but UK and Ireland form my number 4, and 5 followed by Australia. When you're thinking about country choices, there are broadly 3 criteria you've got to keep in mind. First is, if I'm from Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, tier 1 cities, the country that you're going to should at least be, in terms of population, bigger than the city that you're coming from.
Okay.
Like a lot of students want to go to Scandinavian countries, want to go to Iceland, want to go to maybe Poland or whatever. The populations across the border, maybe Sweden, the populations there are smaller than the population of a tier 2 city in India. What's the point of going to a country where the number of opportunity and the opportunity size is going to be less than the opportunity size which you can get in your own city, right? Doesn't make sense. So the first thing you've got to think about is the country big enough? Does the country have enough job opportunities? And here is one statistic that I don't think a lot of students are thinking about. In the US, just last month, they added 140,000 jobs across the economy, just in the last month, out of which about 20% were in the tech sector in just 1 month.
Okay.
And this is official Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers. And this is in the peak of, let's say, job loss and talks of recession and tech layoffs and all of that. 20% of 140,000.
Okay. That's a big number.
That's a big number, right? All of Germany combined, all of France combined, all of these in a year don't put out that many jobs. So as an international student, one of the biggest things you've got to think about is how many jobs are there in the country that I'm going to. First criteria. Because if you are coming from middle class India, the goal of going abroad and studying abroad is not just the academic part. It's of course going to be the work part after you graduate, because you're essentially going to be taking debt, some amount of debt, and you want to pay that back. Second criteria is yes, there are jobs now. We've established that fact. Let's say XYZ country, it has jobs. As an international student, am I eligible to get that job? That's going to be the second criteria. There are a lot of immigration restrictions around every single country of choice, right? US at this point in time, if you do a STEM-based degree, you get 3 years of that OPT, and that's not going to be challenged yet. So if you are getting 3 years of that OPT, you have 3 years to work essentially before you figure out what your next step is going to be, either go through a H-1B pathway in the US or come back to India, etc. Second point to keep in mind is, yes, there are jobs. Am I, as an international student, eligible and able to get those jobs? The third criteria is, yes, I have a job. Yes, there are jobs. Yes, I'm able to get a job as an immigrant. can I stay back long enough to enjoy the benefits that are coming from that job, right? That's the third criteria.
Got it.
Let's compare some immigration timelines. France right now is, I think, offering about 18 months. Germany is also consistently about 18 months to 2 years. UK is about 2 years as well. The US is the only country at this point in time that in the short term, not talking medium term, long term, in the short term offers 3 years if you're a STEM student as part of the OPT and the STEM extension. 3 years, there is no other country that offers this size of employment, this ease of employment for international students, and also 3-year immigration period for you to enjoy the benefits of that job. So consider the third criteria to be how long you're able to stay back after you graduate. The fourth criteria, and this touches upon some of the things that we talked about earlier, is I'm going to a particular country to be able to get a job apart from the academic knowledge that I will get. Is the job paying me enough for me to not only pay back whatever debt that I have taken, but also to build a better life for myself as compared to my life back in India, right? And so wages, median wages wise, US is uncomparable. Nothing beats the US. So secondary choices become, okay, how much am I earning? How much am I spending on a monthly basis? What tax rate am I going to be spending, right? All of Europe, as we all know, is a higher tax rate in general, and therefore your monthly savings rate is very, very low.
Right.
These are 4 criteria you need to be thinking about before you think about a country.
Correct.
Once we think about a country, within the country for you to figure out universities is a simple 3-step formula. First is the location of the university. And people will tell you rankings, QS, US News, Times higher rankings, all of that is BS.
Okay.
None of the rankings actually make any difference to an international student.
Right.
None of them capture ease of finding a job. None of them capture how much research in my particular field is happening. None of them capture how many on-campus job opportunities exist at any of these institutions. And those are criteria that you need to be looking at. And therefore, if none of the ranking agencies are doing a good job on these 3 criteria, throw them into the dust. Simple. Look at the location of the university. If you are specifically speaking about the US, because that's where we have most of our expertise, in the US, East Coast, West Coast, all of the Silicon Valley, Seattle, all of that, Chicago and Texas. Those are the 4 absolutely fantastic places if you're going as an international student, because these are centers of commerce. These are where most of the jobs are. So these 4 locations, go ahead. That's the first. Second, for the kind of degree that you are wanting to do, where do the companies exist? For example, for everyone that's wanting to do ECE, or anything related to now semiconductor industry, etc., they should 100% be based out of either California or Austin, Texas, that area, or the Maryland, Virginia, tri-state area. Those are the only locations. Forget Chicago, forget Raleigh, Durham, forget North Carolina, forget all of that. These are the only 3 locations you should be going to. And so the second criteria becomes, for the degree that I want to do, for the companies that I want to get into, where are they located? Third, of course, is we are putting in a ton of money in terms of the tuition fee, in terms of the cost of living, etc. So instead of looking at it from a how much am I putting in, which is the metric most students look at, think about it as a return on investment calculation. I'm putting in X. How much of that X am I able to recoup if I get a job? So don't think purely in terms of, okay, this is a very high cost university. Yes, it could be a high cost university, but the return is also commensurately higher. And therefore look at the return on investment. Those are the only 3 criteria you need to be thinking about when you're shortlisting institutions. Long answer, but needed to go into some technicality of country choices first, because most students seem to be getting that wrong. Once you figured out a country, I think it's pretty easy for you to figure out the kind of universities you want to go into. But figuring out a country is slightly more higher priority than figuring out the university choice.
So, Suraj, we've talked about, how to shortlist, prepare, and all of that. Now, for a student, what does it take to get into top 30? We know what needs to be done, but do I have the caliber to get into top 30, or I'm just doing the hard work and will not get the result?
No, I think admissions in general sometimes might feel like a lottery to an external observer. But there is a method to the madness.
Okay, is there?
Absolutely. And this is no secret sauce. There is no gatekeeping. The only thing you've got to show to the university is future potential for you to do great things.
Yeah.
Universities, again, the myth is that universities care a lot about past achievements.
Yeah.
Not true. Universities care about your future potential. Yes, the future potential calculation includes what you have done in the past, but they are looking at what you can do with the tools and the degree and the academic structure around from that university, how you can take that and become something fantastic.
Right.
So universities are looking for that. So as a student, you've got to be able to signal towards that.
Okay.
You've got to be able to tell the university, I have big goals for myself. These are the problems that I want to solve. These are the challenges that I want to take up in life.
Right.
These are the kinds of things that I want to do in my career, either professionally, personally, whatever. And that signal is missing in most of the student application processes. Once you signal towards that, then connecting the dots in hindsight becomes very easy. You say, I have a goal of doing XYZ. Here is all of the work that I have done, by the way, in the past.
Right.
All of the hard work in terms of getting a good academic performance, doing some amount of projects, internships, research work, etc., publications, etc. All of that has culminated in me getting some skill, some baseline skill.
Yeah.
The difference between the skill that I have today and the skill I need to solve the problems that I have highlighted is where your university fits in.
Okay.
And that's the second part of a successful application. First part is showing great future potential. The second part is making sure that you're telling the university why you will be a good fit in their cohort.
Right.
A lot of students miss out on doing this. If you've put in the hard work in terms of grades, if you've done a decent job on the GRE, if you've just explored well and you have a decent idea of what you want to do, that is 90% of the battle already over.
Right.
If you have these three things, you're set. On top of that, to be able to make it to the absolute best places, there's one more fourth factor that I call demonstrated interest.
Okay.
Why are you applying to this particular university and this particular degree at the university?
Okay.
You've got to be able to justify it.
Right.
And the way to do it is through the normal application essay process. The statement of purpose is, as it's called in popular media, right? Within the statement of purpose, if you're not telling the university why you want to come there and there particularly study, the application, it falls apart.
Okay.
You might have done a ton of work already on building it up. You might have had the best of experiences, the best of internships, etc. But if you don't justify why you're coming to this particular university and why this is the one university that you would love to be a part of, then that falls apart. And so the 4 criteria that you need to do to be able to set yourself apart: 1, get good grades, and there is no substitute for it. Let nobody tell you that you can make it to a fantastic institution with a 5-point GPA. It's not going to happen. Get good grades. Do decently well on the GRE. You don't need to score a 340. Get a 315, 318 plus, you should be okay.
Okay.
Make sure you've done some amount of work in identifying what your strengths are, what future goals you want to go after, and connect the dots there.
Right.
The 4th thing, if you want to get into the absolute best places, is demonstrate why you want to come to that particular university and that particular degree by showing them some amount of research that you've done on their program. These are the only 4 things that you need to be able to do across a 2-year period, 2.5 year period, to be able to get into fantastic institutions.
Makes
sense. A lot of people will tell you, you have to do this, that. Nothing. Boils down to just these 4 things.
So a student from tier 2 engineering college can get into top 30, top 20?
Look, man, like the number of, so last year we did upwards of about 1,000 applications that have made it to the top 20, top 30. I would say only 10% of those were from the IITs or the BITS, which I consider tier 1. Everything else for me is a tier 2 institution.
Okay.
It does not matter. If you're from an IIT or a BITS, yes, you have a slight bit of name recognition advantage.
Right.
But apart from that, it absolutely does not matter which undergraduate institution you come from.
Right.
As long as you've applied yourself, you've done well academically, and you have made the best use of the resources that are around you. You might be coming from a tier 3 institution in central India in a small town.
Right.
Does not matter as long as you've taken the opportunities that were given to you or that were available to you and made something of those opportunities. Again, going back to the first point that I said, universities care a lot about future potential, little less about past achievements. As long as the atmosphere that you were in had some amount of resources, which I think today with the internet, everybody has, and you've taken advantage of those resources. You've shown the university how even with a small limited resource, you've done something much bigger than that. You're absolutely okay. And so my advice to anyone in a tier 2, tier 3 city, don't worry about the fact and stress about the fact that you're competing with a BITS or an IIT guy. Not true at all. You're competing to become a better version of where you were 2 semesters ago. You're competing to take advantage of the resources that are available on the internet, shoot your shot, and build out a profile that's decent enough for a university to say, he did so much with very few resources. Imagine when we give him as a fantastic top 10 institution in the US with all of our resources, when we give him that, what is that student going to be able to do with that future potential, right? So yeah, that's how it is.
So Suraj, I'll take a step back now. I think should have been my first question, but I'll ask now. Why in today's world, 10 years back I would have understand, but in today's world, with so much of globalization, work opportunities available, why do I want to study abroad in the first place? India has so many tech companies, job opportunities, scale-wise is also, pay-wise also, it's great. Global companies coming here, global universities coming here, setting up their campuses. So is studying abroad is the right thing for me? How do I take that decision?
Yeah, man. I mean, difficult choice, right? Like 10 years ago, the choice was very, very simple. Anywhere from the 1990s to about 2018, the choice was very simple.
Very simple,
It was you either study abroad and get into the fantastic places, or you do a mediocre 9-to-5 job of working for the offshoring sort of companies here in India. But now with a lot of globalization and democratization across the board, fantastic companies are getting built out of India as well. And so the conversation today is not which university or destination should I go to study abroad. The conversation slightly has changed towards, should I even consider studying abroad? And here, I'm not going to sit here and say studying abroad is for everyone. I don't think it is. Here are 2 or 3 things that you have to think about if you're thinking of studying abroad. And here is a persona of someone that I think should take the plunge and study. First is your financial wherewithal. Yes, access to capital has become a lot easier now. Thanks to some of you guys. Access to capital has become so much easier that even if I'm not coming from a financially well-to-do family, I can still think about and consider doing a degree outside of India. Financial wherewithal becomes one of the first factors. Second factor is think about global education and why, if you pick up any Nobel Prize winner, most of them seem to be from either Europe or in the US. The academic structure there is different. I'm not saying it is better or worse, or I'm not comparing it to India at all from a good, bad perspective. It's just a different way of doing things. When you go into an undergraduate or a master's degree in India, the choices are confined. If you're a chemical engineer, you do 4 years of chemical engineering. Very few universities let you take a computer science degree or a humanities course or an arts course or an interdisciplinary design plus computer science sort of course. If you are someone that's not fitting into the traditional Indian mold of only doing one-track mind sort of things and you want to break out of there and find some intersections, I don't think those opportunities are available today at that scale in India. That's one reason why you might want to study abroad. Second, from a kind of companies or the careers or jobs that you would want to do after you graduate. For example, if you did not go to an IIT or a BITS and you want to work in a 9-to-5, not the sexy startups of today that are paying great, that are doing killer kind of work, but the regular 9-to-5 sort of jobs. I'm struggling even today to find really good companies that are doing cutting edge work that are not startups. It's still a primarily service-based economy. It's still serving and building out something for a primarily Western audience and not for a digital audience present in India. And I'm discounting the really good startups that exist. So if you are an ambitious student, unfortunately, you did not go to a fantastic institute for your undergrad, and you still want access to those global opportunities, I don't think there's anything in India as of today. And therefore, it makes a lot of sense for you to go outside of India in search for those opportunities. The third thing that I talk about is wage stagnation. The salaries at any of the day one companies, and I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but any of the day one companies, I graduated from my undergrad in 2014. 2014, I remember the annual CTC for the day one companies, and people who should know what these are, was about a 3.5, 3.75 lakh an annum. That number in 2025 is still the same. Inflation has gone up by 7%.
It should have been doubled.
In some sectors, inflation's gone up by 11%. The wages of a starting 9-to-5 service-based company have stagnated across the board for the last 10 years, and if I dare say so, for 10 years before that as well. So for the last 20 years, we've not had starting level salary increases at the mass employers that we have today. So if I am someone who's not at the top of the graduating class, not in the top 1%, in the top 10%, but still want to be able to get really good job opportunities, unfortunately, I'm dumb out of luck in India. And therefore, in search for those good medium tier companies that offer great salary packages or great wages, you've got to explore the Western world. Those are the three kinds of people that should think about a study abroad. Not everyone should. If you have the financial wherewithal, either by yourself or access to capital, you have ambition to absolutely be the best in your career and do cutting edge research or cutting edge work, building the next OpenAI, building the next Perplexity, etc. Unfortunately, that has not come out of India. And third, if you want a 9-to-5, but a great wage without stagnating, and you want a good 9-to-5, these are the three kinds of people that should go abroad. The kind of person that should not go abroad to study or to do anything is someone who's building for India, who's interested in the startup scene in India, and someone who does not care about physical presence and where they are based out of, and has access to global opportunities sitting in one of the tier 1, tier 2 cities in India. Those are the guys that should not go out either for a degree or for work outside of India. Those guys will absolutely have enough and more opportunities in India, but there's a set of audience that should highly consider studying abroad. I'm hoping that answers the question.
I think I fit in your second framework.
Absolutely. So do I, right? I moved back just because I saw a huge opportunity in being able to build for India in India. Right? And for those guys, absolutely the place to be. But it depends on where you are in life, and it depends on what your ambitions and goals are. I think that's the bottom line.
Given you've worked for almost 6 years in US, I would actually also want to, understand your thoughts on two aspects of it. One is obviously the work-life difference between India, and you have touched upon a bit on it, in India versus abroad. One is from the, technology perspective, which we know that, if you have to work in the latest tech, that is where you want to be. But what are the other aspect of it which is different there? Second, what is the future of education itself? Will this degree matter 5 years, 7 years down the line with AI coming in, cursors of the world, writing the code? So 5 years, 7 years down the line, or in fact 3 years down the line, I don't know.
You are saying 3-5 years, I can't see 6 months down the line. I am shit scared for students that are graduating now, but at the same time, I think they have a lifetime opportunity to be able to build something that will change their entire generation. Okay, so I'll take the question in two parts. The first part is, with changing education landscape, I think the biggest change that's going to come, so far, at least in India, the entire system and the apparatus was no child left behind. Nobody that wants to access opportunities is left behind. That's where we are as a country. That's where we are at. The US is one generation ahead of us. The US is no longer thinking about no one left behind. They are thinking about personalized education. They are thinking about who, for example, a computer science guy wanting to learn specifics of computer science can get a niche degree that is customized and personalized to what the student wants to study, to their learning style, to their outcomes, and what they want to do after that degree. It's so narrow that it's a degree of one. It'll be a class size literally of one student. And it's so niche. We are not there yet in India. We're still trying to get everyone to have access to education. And so it'll take us maybe one generation to be able to get there in terms of that amount of personalization. So I think the next big shift in education is going to be the personalized level of education that everyone's going to get. The second part of the question, if I were to compare and contrast the work culture / work environment in India versus the US, in India, we're a very, very jugadu bunch. We try to make the best out of whatever is around us. We are not able to, let's say, figure out something in terms of a piece of code working. We'll figure out backdoors. We'll figure out what we can do with the limited amount of resources. Resources in the US are not constrained. You have access to the best supercomputers out there. I remember in 2014, Carnegie Mellon in the basement of the library had the world's fastest supercomputer. And any undergrad and grad student can get time on it by just connecting via VPN. I can't say the same for any undergraduate student outside of an IIT or a BITS. And even within those, the older IITs and the 3 BITS campuses. I don't think anyone at the undergraduate level has access to a supercomputer, let alone to a cluster. Like that access, that unconstrained resources have unleashed some absolutely mind-blowing companies that have come out of there in the last 10 or odd years, including the ones that have come out in the last 2 years or so. So the big shift is we are constrained and we are trying to do the best out of the resources that we have here in India. They have unlimited resources. And so that's, yes, a boon in most times. That also can be a bane. So they have a problem of excess. They hire a lot, whereas we are trying to keep team sizes small. They hire a lot. They emphasize in some cases wrongly on work-life balance, the woke culture. All of that is a consequence of the excess. But they've also been able to build out OpenAIs and Perplexities and those kind of companies as well. The big difference is access to resources. The second big, I think, approach is how they approach work. For us, work is the central question of our lives. The entirety of our life revolves around the work that we do. Our identity is in what we do. When I go out, I introduce myself as, hey, I'm Suraj, I'm co-founder of Gradvine. I don't think the people in the US do that. Their life does not revolve necessarily around the work. They will introduce themselves as, hey, I'm so-and-so, I work here, but I hike on the weekends. I do this in my off time. I'm a father of 2 or I have 2 kids that are heading to college now, etc. Their life does not just revolve around work. So that's an approach difference. I am not critiquing which one is better, which one is bad. It's just a different approach. Those were 2 big observations that I had of my time between India. I haven't worked at a corporate. That's my observation. In the US, corporate is set up in a way that you're coming there not from a very purpose-driven, you're not sitting there and saying, I will do something big in the world, etc. You have an identity outside of work as well. That's how it is set up.
So you already established that the country ranking that you gave, that US is still the best out of there because the opportunities available, size of the country, tech and all of that. So, and in the long run, it will, in the medium short term, it will be the same. But for the students who are going this year, or maybe spring next year, I see a lot of hurdles. Obviously, the recent interview post that happened for 22 days and still it has not opened up. So how do we tackle these short-term challenges at this point in time? My question is specifically, from the viewpoint somebody who have had an admit from top 20, 30 for this fall,
Yeah.
and they're not getting their visas clear.
I'm with you. And we, again, honestly, we don't have a solution to it. We don't have an answer to it. I have some advice and maybe recommendations of things that students should keep in mind.
Right.
All political turmoil is short term. In the longer term, the arc of history bends towards peace and bends towards justice.
Yeah.
And so think of careers not as a 3-year bit.
Yeah.
You're not in the workforce or whatever career for a 3-year bit.
Yeah.
You're in it for at least 40 years and with increasing lifespans, maybe 60 years.
Right.
Even if you are losing out on that 1-2 year of career in between, weigh that with the consequence of getting a 58-year career that is solid.
Right.
That's how I would think about it.
Nice.
All I'm saying is broaden the time period that you're thinking for slightly higher. In the past, this was not the case because of the current political turmoil. Yes, slightly long-term thinking will benefit you.
Got it.
Second, think about it from the political administration perspective as well. They are essentially letting guests into their country. All of us going on a student visa to any country are guests of that country. We are privileged to be able to take advantage of the academic institutions that they have built, of the teaching pedagogy that they have built, and the kind of infrastructure that they are able to give to international students and us. As guests, there's a thin line that you should try and not cross. I'm not saying in all situations. Most situations, there's a thin line that you should not cross. If you're going to a host nation and criticizing for good or for bad, criticizing some of the policies that that nation has, it's like going and poking a bear. Right? And you don't want to be doing that. If you're going there to study, my sincere advice is go there to study. Yes. Absorb the culture. Yes. There's a thin line between absorbing culture, becoming a part of the culture versus rebelling against it without too many causes. Right? And so my only advice is you are being afforded a privilege. Treat it as such.
Got it.
Do not get involved in extracurricular activities that may or may not have anything to do with you, keeping in mind the practical realities of what is the current political environment. In the past, there have been political environments that have been much more open and good for you to protest. This one isn't such an environment or a climate, and therefore be practical. Think about it slightly on a longer term basis instead of a short term, I'm not getting a visa in this month sort of a timeline. I think specifically speaking to the US and students that are wanting to go for this year, they've lifted the ban. Do what they want you to do in order to get the visa. Make your social media profiles public. Do comply with whatever they're saying. Visa slots will open up in the next couple of days. So be able to get a slot, but also be patient enough. Don't panic because they also want you to come. A significant chunk of their revenue depends on you. And even if there's political pressure, these guys as a university lobby will push back and say, we need the international students to come through. And so be slightly more patient than earlier years for this year particularly. Wait for the visa slots to open up, which they will in a couple of days. Find your slot. Once you go there, just toe that line and figure out where that line is. For each administration, that line keeps changing. For this one, it's much closer as compared to the earlier ones. So toe that line.
And should there be plan B?
Yes, absolutely. I think there should be a plan B. A plan B could be either an alternative destination. Could be, absolutely. Given the turmoil, you can start to think about Netherlands, think about Ireland, think about Germany, if you already know German, and I can touch upon some of those. Think of UK as the last resort. I'm going to get a lot of brickbats for this. Again, controversial statements, but UK, look, man, I mean, the number of students that have gone to the UK and come back to India is just way too many. And so just slightly cautious approach about the UK. But yes, you should have a plan B. Unfortunately, nothing is going to be open for the August start date. So think of the January start date or the next fall. Absolutely have a plan B. Another plan B could be a good startup job. I know you guys are hiring, we are hiring as well. So good startup job at some companies like us, or some tech firms based out of Bangalore, Delhi, NCR, etc. Those could be a good plan B for you to tide this period over before you figure out what the long-term ambitions are.
So actually, I want to touch and double down on the UK bit.
Yes.
Because I'm not every day.
I'm sure this becomes the thumbnail and the controversial opinion for YouTube. But go ahead.
Because not every day I'm hearing a lot of negative things. Everybody is, and for their own interest, pushing UK.
Yeah.
For my understanding for UK is, there are some great institutions
Absolutely.
out there, Oxfords of the world, Imperial.
Yeah.
And obviously there have been great alumni that that have come out of those colleges, changed the world for good.
Yeah.
But the recent history of the country and the economic condition of the country is not at its best. I think it's at its worst at this point in time.
Yeah, you would say.
And unfortunately, at the same time period, the number of students going to UK is tripled in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to make sense of that situation as well. So I was looking at some statistics. The UK right now is in an economic climate that is similar to the recession in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Is not far away from, and this is a caution, is not far away from the Great Depression and World War II times.
Right.
So, controversial opinion, but in terms of the UK, let's take a step back. Why are we going to study abroad? It's not just for the academics. If it was, UK would be number 2 or maybe even number 1 in my list.
Yeah.
It's for the post-academic job opportunities as well. And that's where the UK loses out.
Right.
Apart from central London, there aren't enough opportunities anywhere else within the country.
Right.
Even within central London, there are only 2 things that are doing okay. Finance, because London was and still continues to be the banking sort of hub of a lot of this region.
Right.
And some amount of tech. When was the last time you heard of a fantastic company or startup come out of the UK?
Never.
We hear of that every day from the Valley.
Yeah.
And for the last 20, 25 years, all of the big ones have come out of the Valley and New York City and maybe even Atlanta or Austin and Chicago, etc.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the UK, nothing out of London in tech.
Yeah.
So the only careers that might make sense in the UK as of now are finance, management consulting, some amount of supply chain operations kind of stuff. So the non-tech side of UK is still okay.
Okay.
For the technology guys, I am fearful. I have folks that have graduated Oxford, Cambridge, Edinburgh with masters in AI, machine learning, computer science that are outside of research, not finding jobs and coming back to India, which is not a good outcome.
Right.
From a simple statistic of careers, UK probably is not the right destination. And I use the word probably because yes, there are some that will say, my friend went here and got a job. Yes, great, good for him.
Right.
The majority is coming back. And you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you've gone 30, 40, 50 lakh in debt. You don't have a job to show for or making enough money to make up for that debt, to pay the interest. And you're coming back to India in the search for a job that will, be able to pay the interest and the debt. That's my observations about the UK. Of course, happy to be proven wrong, but I would, in terms of my country choices, going back to the previous question that we had, put US as number 1 because you're still able to pay back all of the debt, even if it is in that 3-year OPT period. Even if you are not getting that H1B in the lottery, in the 3-year OPT period, you're still able to pay back the loan, which is a big deal. You're getting best academia, you're getting the best of research facilities, etc. You're getting a great education, and you're also getting that first job that is able to pay back the loan, after which you're debt-free.
Right.
Once you're debt-free, you have the entire world to explore. US still number 1. I would highly rate Netherlands and Germany. Netherlands slightly above Germany because of the German requirement, but both of those as slightly better than the UK.
Right.
I'd put France, especially for B-school degrees, better than the UK. And finally, UK and Ireland at the number 4 or 5 position for me.
So I was a bit surprised with Australia being the number 5th.
Yeah, man. If UK has a problem with careers, Australia has a problem with both academia and careers.
Okay.
Australian institutes, there are 3, maybe 4 that are fantastic.
Yeah.
the UNSW, Queensland, Sydney, Melbourne, etc., the group of 8 that are good. Outside of those, there's nothing else. So if you don't make it to those, and if you're going and settling for a mediocre institution, it's the chasm between an IIT BITS versus a tier 4 institution in India. That's how deep that chasm is.
Wow.
So if you're going to the top 4 or 5 places, you're okay. Outside of that, there's nothing else there.
Okay.
Even after you graduate from those top 4, top 5, again, the same problem of careers. It isn't a big enough economy just yet to support indigenous internal jobs. It isn't a big product-based economy just yet. It's still a service-based economy just like us. But the wages are significantly higher. The costs also are significantly higher. Therefore, I don't see the allure of Australia. Like, you're not going there for great education. Neither are you going there for great jobs. So you are essentially just going there for the PR or the immigration bit, which to some people is a fantastic thing, fantastic outcome. But for the kind of students that we cater to, immigration is not top of their mind. So for my set of students and my audience, Australia is probably the last ranked out of everything.
Okay, I think I am out of questions, Suraj.
That's thick.
I think we've touched almost every aspect of abroad education, country, course, why part of it as well. So thanks a lot for your time. And some fantastic frameworks and fantastic ideas for students to think about. And I'm sure that this will help them out in prospecting and getting to the better universities.
Absolutely, man. Lovely. It's not every day that I get to feel these questions, right? Like, every day I'm listening to just students telling me, hey, my profile is this, which university can I go into? So it's a breather for me to take and answer some philosophical and big picture sort of questions as well. So thanks so much. And to anyone listening, free consultation on the website is always going to be open. So click that button. There's a big orange button that we provide. Do that and just have a conversation. I think conversations like these and the ones that a ton of my students have with the counselors that we have, the alumni that we have, like you said, have changed the thought process. And that's all we want to do. It's a completely free of charge consultation. Of course, we have paid services for the entire work that we do. But the goal is for them to orient themselves to the right format, to what they want to be doing, and then take it from there. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, man.